Hi, everybody. Today is Wednesday, the 24th, and we just had our walk to learn for an hour on our skill. And today we are working on opinion as well as comparing and contrasting similar text on the same topic. So in the packet of week 11, we read two sources. So I'm going to just go over it very quickly. So you want to read, if you were not here, source number one, maybe video games are not so bad. After reading it, we underlined the topic sentences in green, and we talked about and decided, did that topic sentence, was that the main idea of the whole paragraph? So that is what we did for source number one. We found the opinion of the author. Maybe they're not that bad after all. We labeled it. We then went to source number two. We talked about how this is from an online article. So our paragraphs look a little different. A lot of our paragraphs are about two sentences. So it's really short. It is from kidshealth.org. And our title is Are Video Games Bad for Me? We always label our paragraphs so when we're talking about in discussion, we know where we found our evidence. And then again, we in green talked about the main idea, the topic sentences of each paragraph. And then in pencil is what we underlined as far as their opinion. So we have two spots. So in paragraph two, we have too much of anything is just too much, but too much of video game playing may lead to health problems. So that is one side of the opinion. But then halfway down, they have paragraph 2, 3, and 4 are kind of bad against video games, are against it. But then they switch in paragraph 5, 6, and 7, and it talks about how video games can be positive. So we underline, but here's the good news, playing video games some of the time can be okay. So that is where we got our opinion. Playing too much video games are bad, but playing sometimes is okay. So that is our author's opinion. So go ahead and pause if you need to. And then we moved on to the questions. So read the article, maybe video games are not so bad. That's source number one. What are the 3 reasons the author gives for why video games might be good for kids? There's more than one reason, but we wrote 3. We didn't always use sentences, which is fine. We just used some points and parts of sentences. Then number 2, it talks about what are 3 reasons. The second article talks about how they're bad. So then we wrote 3 reasons. The students gave me all these reasons from the text, and we talked about what paragraph they found them in. So that's why we always label our paragraphs. Then number 3 was, well, what is the opinion? What sentence directly from the article of source number 1 leads us to the author's opinion? And we underlined that from the get-go. We found the opinion right away, and we put it in quotes because we did not change what the article said. Maybe they are not so bad after all. And they is referring to video games. Then we talked about the main idea of source 1, not 2. And I had everyone write in the chat. And we actually had a variety of answers. We had D and C. And so we talked about each answer. So too much exercise in your body can get hurt. Source number 1 does talk about that. But a main idea is pretty much the entire article goes back to the main idea. So was the whole article about exercising and hurting your body? No. So it cannot be A. Video games are bad for you. Well, source number 1, and we already talked about their opinion where they also say it's not bad for you. So that wouldn't work. D, video games help children learn. There is a reason that the author gives of how video games help them learn. But not every paragraph, not every aspect of the article is just talking about learning. It talks about hand-eye coordination, right? They give other reasons. So that's not the main idea. This is a detail. So the main idea is if you don't play video games too much, they're not so bad after all. If you read every detail, every aspect of the article, it all ties back to this statement, this opinion. And then number 5, it talks about excess. So we went back into the article and we read the sentences around it. So we have excess right here. We read around it and we found out there's a lot of too much written. So we circled it. And so then we talked about what excess could mean using our context clues. And we figured out that excess just means too much of anything. And that's where we wrote. Excess means too much of something or too much of anything. So pause whenever you need. Now for homework, I helped set up with sentence frames, but you need to pause if you want this, get the sentence frame down. After reading source number 2, that's the second article we read, the online article. Explain how video games might be bad for you. Be sure to cite at least 2 pieces of evidence from the text. There is not a lot of space. Ideally, I would like you to write a lot in your own words, but right now, just focus on finding 2 pieces of evidence, which is citing, which is our quotation marks. In source 2, the author states, so this needs to support why video games are bad. The author also says it needs to support what the video games being bad. Then number 7, you're going to do on your own. And then number 8, I want your opinion. In your opinion, should students be allowed to play video games as long as they want? Write at least 1 paragraph and cite at least 2 pieces of evidence from source number 2 to support your opinion. So this is at least 5 sentences. So I helped set up pretty much the whole paragraph. In my opinion, I believe students should or should not. You are not writing both. You are choosing. What is your opinion? Play video games as long as they want. In source number 2, are video games bad for me? The author says, you already pulled evidence in number 6, so you can use the same if you like. And then the author states, cite another opinion. You still need 2 sentences for this paragraph. I don't know the evidence you chose. You could write a sentence right after this quote, and you can say whether you agree with that or not. Maybe you chose about how, I believe it talks about being overweight. Let's see. I have to go back because I can't even remember. That, yep, it leads to being overweight. So if you write that article or that evidence that playing too much can lead to being overweight, you can add, you can write your opinion right after, and you can say, I agree with the author because if students are playing video games all day, they're not working out, right? So that could be your 1 sentence after this. Then your next one, whatever evidence you use. Then after, you can write another sentence in your own opinion that supports what the author says. So maybe you choose and kids who play violent video games may act more aggressively. So if you chose that one for your second, then you could say, I agree with the author because if students are being violent online, they may also want to be violent in real life, or they may be unkind to others because they see it online. So you could give your own opinion, and then you need your concluding sentence. Your concluding sentence, you can write in conclusion. We're trying to get away from that, but if you still want to use that, that's fine. You could say in conclusion, students, you can restate your topic sentence, or you can just make a little change to it. You can say, in my opinion, I'm glad I don't play video games all day because I want to make sure that I stay healthy and that I stay kind, right? So you can kind of mix your own opinion with the evidence you cited. So I'm here if you need anything. Make sure to have your parent write me on Parent Square. All right, thank you guys.